We're here at the 2021 US Open, and I'm gonna start off the video by saying you to the US Open. Because last year, the US Open blocked my montage video that I made a picture of Martic at the 2020 US Open. And I stayed up all night editing that video. I uploaded that video and then they blocked it. It wasn't even up for a whole minute, then they blocked my whole video. Actually, they blocked it twice. They blocked it again after they already blocked it. The US Open official YouTube channel, they got some old hating ass people working for that channel because they want you to watch they trash ass 2-minute highlight videos. And I'm like, isn't that the main reason why tennis fans come to YouTube to watch montage, best of compilations, and extended highlight videos of their favorite players, especially at the majors? And then here comes the US Open blocking people's videos. And now, with that being said, and looking back at the 2021 US Open, my pre-tournament predictions for Petra Martic was spot on accurate. Like, my predictions played out exactly like how I predicted it, which was not good. So far all year, Petra's performance at pre-warm-up tournaments have been an indicator of how she'll perform at the majors, whether it be a first, second round, or early round loss. And Petra's been struggling to generate consistent wins on hard courts with only 5 wins on hard courts coming into the US Open. So with that predictability, going into this tournament, she was ranked 32 with a 30 seed ranking, which was a stark contrast from last year when she was a top 10 seed. And in the first round, she played a qualifier who I personally never heard of before, Dama Galfi. Now you guys are Googling that name after I said that. And her ranking was 152. And during this match, Petra looked and she played like she was a top 35 player. I don't know whether it was a combination of Petra playing well against a not-so-established opponent or her opponent being trash. I think it was a little bit of both. But anyways, Petra won her first round match, 6-3, 6-2. And speaking of trash, and in the second round, Petra played Ajla Trash Can Tomljanovic with her old Oscar the Grouch looking ass. And the last time they played each other was over a decade ago at the 2011 Australian Open qualifying. Like, the last time they played, Petra was still a teenager. So that was a long time ago. And Ajla hasn't achieved anything since the last time that they played. And coming into this match, Ajla was ranked 46. And no matter how trash Petra's opponents are, she's been having a hard time defeating players inside the top 50 all year. And going into this match, I had the same complaint I did during my rant video about Ajla. Don't get into any long rallies with Trash Can because that's what she's all about. She's not an offensive player. She just tries to get the ball back. That's about it. And the only winners that she did get is because Petra gave up on the rally. So the game plan was laid out in front of Petra to be aggressive during this match, but every time Petra attempted to be offensive, she always ended up hitting an unforced error during the rally. It was like everything that could possibly go wrong with this match went wrong in this match. For Petra, everything across the board was off. Her serve was off, her shot placement was off, her shot selection was off. Petra looked like and played that match like she was up all night playing quarters. And I already knew this match was going to go awry when in the first couple of games, Petra was having difficulties returning Ajla's serve. Cause you know, WTA is all about service. Like, if a player is putting out bad service or struggling to return a player's serve, then it's more than likely they're going to struggle during the match. And then Petra lost the first set in a tiebreak 7-6. And how that first set played out gave me the perfect conclusion that she was going to struggle in the next set when she wins a set 7-5 or 7-6, or in this case loses a set 7-5 or 7-6. And once again, in the second set when Petra was up 4-3, she had a break point at 30-40, then she failed to convert a crucial break point that would have gave her the lead 5-3. And after she had an unforced error on that break point, she started fussing with her team from the sidelines like it was their fault that she's been trash at converting crucial break points all year. Towards the end of the match, it was so terrible. Petra, she was so tight on her serve, she was making so many unforced errors on her forehand. And then she went out there and lost to that trash in straight sets. And then she hugged her at the net. Ugh. Now she probably had to burn out her clothes and flesh off, and she probably has herpes in her mouth now. After watching that match, I was so disgusted. I closed down my laptop, laid down in my bed, stared up at the ceiling, and reevaluated my whole entire life. And this has been the feeling I've been having the whole entire year I've been watching Petra's performance at these majors. And Petra failed to defend those 2020 fourth round points and lost 420 points, and it pushed her back 10 spots in the rankings and outside the top 40. So as of September the 2nd, she's currently ranked 42 in the world. And it reminded me back in the beginning of 2019 when she was ranked 31. And I remember being very excited about that because she was on the precipice of breaking into the top 30 for the first time in her career. And now that I see that she's almost damn near outside the top 50 again, it brings me to the point where it's like, if you don't care about maintaining your ranking, then me as a fan, I'm like, why should I care? But sometimes I think it has something to do with some players, they cannot handle the pressure of being top players. And another factor I think it was that WTA, they took away on-court coaching. They haven't been doing on-court coaching all this year. Well, since coming back from the season being suspended last year. And some players who relied heavily on on-court coaching to get them through troublesome matches are struggling on tour right now, much like Petra. Because this whole entire season has been a complete disaster. Other than those two international qualifinals and making the semifinals in Rome, it's kind of like she played so substandard all throughout the whole year that her making the semifinals at Rome, it's at the back of my mind. It's something I almost forgot about because I've grown accustomed to watching her play second rate all year. I'm going to say it like this. With this Petra, she seems like she's the type of player that needs to be inspired. Like, she needs inspiration while she's out there doing these difficult matches. She needs to dig deep within herself and find some type of inspiration, find something to inspire her. I don't know what. And have that same fighting spirit she did back in her breakout year back in 2019. She needs to pull from within what had inspired her to play the best tennis of her career and then bring that into 2022. And Petra went on to win her first round doubles match on my birthday, so her losing against Asla Trash Can Tomljanovic, it's all swept under the rug. I decompartmentalized it, so all is forgiven. Just seeing Petra happy and smiling out there after winning a match, that was the perfect birthday present for me. Because I rarely see her cheesing that hard and happy doing her singles matches. Well, I know why, but she lost her second round doubles match. I did not watch that match. So it's like her singles is translating into her doubles, like she can't get past the second round. So she lost in the second round in singles and doubles, and that was the end of her 2021 US Open campaign. And another thing, I know it's been you toxic ass gamblers that have been harassing and cussing this lady out for losing in the early rounds in the majors all year. You morons. Have any of you gamblers watched any of her matches this year? She has not been playing her best tennis all year. And I thought you gamblers learned y'all lesson to stop gambling and betting wages on her after she lost the first round back in Miami. Like, you can lead a thirsty gambler to the river, but you can't make them drink, okay? And continuing with the tradition at majors all year, whatever opponent that defeats Petra goes on and loses in the next round. Asla Trash Can Tomljanovic lost to Karolina Pliskova, and I don't like neither of them, so it was a contest of which player that I disliked the most. Asla Trash Can Tomljanovic, I was cheering hard for Karolina Pliskova, the only time I would do so. Good, excellent Carolina for exposing Trash Can and knocking her ass out. Taking out the trash and cleaned her off the court and sat her ass outside by the curb on trash pickup day where she belongs. And Carolina served their purpose. Now she's useless to me and back off to the dungeons with her. Now Asla can go back to posting selfies and talking about her relationship all day because that's the only value that she has about herself. I don't see what anyone would like or see in her. She's average looking at best, and I watched some interviews with her and she has the personality of stale bread. Everything about this chick looks stale. Like her personality is stale, her tennis game is stale, and her stale high-mileage twat that simp guys like Matteo Bertinelli puts on a pedestal. And then, Asla Trash Can Tomljanovic and Andrea Petkovic teamed up to play doubles. That was like trash combined it with trash to form super trash. Dun-dun-dun-dun! I did a rant video on both of those players because both of them cannot keep their mouths shut. You got Andrea Petkovic running her mouth about how the lowest of the low, bottom of the barrel, challenger level scrub players can't make money in a very lucrative sport like women's professional tennis. And then you have Asla Trash Can Tomljanovic sitting in press conferences tearing down successful women. They say game recognize game, but in this case, big mouths recognize other big mouths. Trying to have opinion about something and someone. Asla Trash Can Tomljanovic, she needs to go sit down somewhere with her empty, dusty trophy shelf having ass. And Lucia Sorenko, where do I start with her? Okay, Lucia, she finally got her first main draw win in over a year at some clay tournament in Romania, and You guessed it, she withdrew in the next round because of back muscle spasms. It's like with Lucia, at first she had an arm injury, now problems with her back. With Lucia, it's my arm, my back, my neck, and my back.
I'm hurt. Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
And Lucia, this was her third year in a row not playing in the main draw since getting into the 2018 quarterfinals 3 years ago. She lost in the second round of qualifications to AK-47 Shimladova. And watching that match, like the way Lucia looked out there, it really disturbed me. Like, after every rally, she was doubling over and doing some of her services. She looked like she was about to fall over. She was walking around the court looking so exhausted. Like, she looked like everyone in the whole country of Ukraine jumped her and beat her ass down with tennis rackets. I know Lucia, she does not play well in hot weather conditions, as seen previously at the 2018 fourth round here. And I remember some fake outraged tennis fans were claiming she was faking an injury. I'm so tired of those fake outraged tennis fans. I do understand that some of those Eastern European players are not accustomed to extreme heat and humidity weather. During that match, it was 90 degrees Fahrenheit with 50% humidity. It most likely felt like it was over 100 degrees out there on the court, and that was a 3-hour long match. So that was probably why towards the end, Lucia looked so languid. And she lost the match in 3 sets, and she failed to qualify for the main draw in 3 majors this year. She made it through qualifications at Wimbledon, but she withdrew before she played her first round main draw match. Like, I couldn't even talk about Lucia's performance at the majors this year because she never made an appearance at the main draw. She failed to qualify at the Australian Open, she withdrew from qualifications at the French Open, and she withdrew again at Wimbledon and lost in the qualifications at the US Open. So that was Lucia's report card from the majors all year, which isn't anything. The sad truth that I face is upon me now. If Lucia doesn't get healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if next year or the year after that would be her last years on tour. Because Lucia, with all these injuries, is causing her to have a drop in her performance. And she hasn't had a complete season without being injured since 2018. And with that, I've come to a prognosis that if she doesn't stay healthy, I don't see her playing on tour for no more than a year or two. And I'm also looking at factors like her age and her recovery time. Like, she's been having these injuries specifically with her elbow for like since 2019, so going on almost 3 years now, and she still haven't quite recovered from it. And as sad as all this may sound to Lucia fans, injuries and the father of time is always the death of an athlete's career. And Serena Williams did not play here. She's still recovering from her injury she sustained at Wimbledon. And I read somewhere that it could be a career-ending injury. Injuries and the father of time is always the death of an athlete's career. Honestly, I think Serena should have retired after she gave birth because she was already up in age at that point. And the only reason she's still playing is the pursuit of passing Mortal Court's record. And as I said, she had plenty of chances to pass Mortal Court's record. Now she's still playing at almost damn near 40, out there literally hurting herself trying to break this woman's record now. And Dana Vekic lost in the first round to Gabine Muguruza. And Ekaterina Alexandrova playing tennis. Seriously, that's all I wrote down in my notes was playing tennis because I was at a loss for words at how she played. And Daniel Yastremska. Okay, my approach with Daniel Yastremska returning back on tour has to do with how everything played out with the way that she returned. And she was cleared of all wrongdoing, like they did not find her at negligence with the banned drugs found in her system. And she claimed this whole time it was because of cross-contamination, but the only way I could think of how the banned substance could have gotten into her system through cross-contamination, it's a bit graphic, so I'm not going to explain that here. But it's the fact that she was cleared of negligent wrongdoing, and the ITF said that Dana barred no wrongdoing, so I'm basing my opinion based off her return on that fact. But it seemed like you petty tennis fans, you were all quick to fake outrage and want to find something to outrage about in tennis. Because only watching tennis, that's not good enough for you. You have to find something to complain about also. And every time I bring up the fact that she got dismissed and being cleared of all wrongdoing, and then I get attacked for bringing up facts. It's like you miserable tennis fans don't want to hear the fact that this chick went through all the proper legal disputes and everything about this claim against her, and she was cleared by the ITF to play on tour again because they found her not at fault. And I get attacked because you fake outraged tennis fans want to vilify a player. I swear, it's like the average age range of these fake outraging tennis fans. It's like from 12 to 22, because that's how they act. I know I go on rants about players, but I'm not going to sit here and vilify this woman and continue ranting on her after she was cleared of all charges. And after she returned on tour, she can't even consistently win matches, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And Naomi BLM Osaka lost in the third round. Now she wants to take an indefinite break from tennis. She should have had taken a break and stayed on break after all that press conference drama back at the French Open. And then this chick sat up there busting into tears in a press conference. What this girl's mental state is when a reporter can't even ask her a simple legitimate question without her boo-hooing like a toddler after someone raised their voice at them. Like, this third round loss finally knocked some sense into her, because no professional tennis player should be breaking down like that over simple questions in interviews. Because it does not make any sense at all for a top tennis player to fall apart like that in a press conference over a simple question, and it wasn't even a loaded question. Naomi acting like this, she needs to fire everyone on her team, everyone around her on her payroll, because there's no one around her on her team that cares about her mental state, and she should not be playing tennis. It's her team putting pressure on her, it's her sponsors putting pressure on her. She needs to step aside, and she needs to take some time off and get her mental health in check. That's what she should be doing, and now she's finally doing that. Because up until this point, Naomi Osaka, she had to play. She had no choice not to play, because Naomi Osaka is a brand. And all her sponsors that pay her the big dollars want her to play at large-scale events. Large-scale major tournaments, especially at tournaments she's had success at winning, like the US Open. Like I said back in my French Open update video, when Naomi was making all that drama about going to press conferences, I guarantee she was going to show up at the US Open, and all that protesting in the media was going to stop at the US Open. I really don't have no sympathy for Naomi BLM Osaka, because she brought this on herself by wanting to be the very best in her sport, and with that comes fame and fortune. And with fame comes criticism and scrutiny, which she's not mentally equipped to handle, which is absolutely unacceptable for a player who wants to be the very best in their sport. It's Naomi's own fault for being too talented. Naomi wanted to emulate Serena. When she came on the tennis scene, she wanted to be the next Serena. And she got herself to the point where she's a superstar in tennis, and now she's falling apart because she can't handle the pressure. But you cannot actively be the very best at your sport, but then fall apart when facing criticism when you're not playing the very best at your sport, Naomi Osaka. Well, she needs to get herself together on the offseason, because this mental health shtick is getting old and played out real quick. And another thing, I watched Naomi's Netflix docu-series, and was that supposed to be a comedy docu-series? Because I laughed throughout the whole entire thing because of how ridiculous it was. And it was a waste of time. I sat there and watched that whole 4-part docu-series in one sitting, and I was surprised at myself for doing that. And I remember in the docu-series, they was praising Naomi when she shut down that tennis tournament. Like, one of my first rant videos was about Naomi shutting down that tennis tournament. They was talking about she was the first tennis player in history to shut down a whole tennis tournament. By being influenced to protest with that trash Black Lives Matter, Naomi BLM Marxist Osaka. Okay, first of all, women's tennis is mainly dominated by European women. Nothing but European women. And some of those European women have wars going on in their countries, okay? Some of those women had to escape wars to play professional tennis. And I've never heard of none of those European women players shutting down a whole entire tennis tournament to protest a war in their country, Naomi Osaka.
I just want to tell you that some people have war in their country.
You tell them, Natasha from Russia. The only war that's going on here in America is Black Lives Matter terrorizing their own communities, torching and burning their own cities into the ground. And Black Lives Matter is the organization you shut down a whole tennis tournament for. No wonder why her mental health is so messed up. Look at the type of stuff that she's focusing on off court. Like hooking up with Nike, and Nike got her out there acting all woke, looking like an absolute fool last year at the 2020 US Open, wearing thugs' names on face masks, portraying America as being a racist country. If America is a racist country, she's playing a sport that's dominated by white European women, and her as a, quote, black woman, unquote, was able to have success in a sport and have half of her success in America starting with Indian Wells back in 2018. 2018, and then she went on to win the US Open later on that year. If America is so racist, then her as a black woman, how was she able to achieve success in a mostly white-dominated sport while playing in racist America? Naomi Osaka. And then turn around and align herself with Black Lives Matter. The same Black Lives Matter that has utter disdain for America. The same country that she had most of her career success in. This reminds me of the exact same thing at the Olympics when the US women's soccer team was taking a knee at the national anthem and all of us Americans cheered when they lost in the semifinals to Canada. It was like, how are you going to represent the United States as an American and then display that you hate the country that you're representing? And I know some of you might say, well, she wasn't born here in America and she doesn't represent America, so she has no obligation of loyalty to America. But the fact that she's completely Americanized and she started her tennis career here in America and had half of her career major success in America by winning Indian Wells in the US Open twice and then have no respect for the country that made her a superstar millionaire. That's why I'm bringing this up. You see, this is why I have no respect for this player and I have no empathy for athletes like this. And some time off the tour for the rest of the year would do her some good. So tennis fans like myself don't have to hear about her beefing with the media when she's playing like trash and whining about her mental health when she's losing. I'm all about top players. Who the heck is Emma Raducanu and Leylah Fernandez? Looking at that final, two unseeded players making the slam final. For those who was complaining about an unseeded player winning the French Open, this is like on steroids right here. This final did not look like a slam final. This final looked like an ITF or challenger level tournament final. And this final says a lot about how trash the top players have been playing. When you have two unseeded players, 150 in the world, and then you have 73 in the world playing in the slam final. This is why the top 10 WTA players are a joke. J-O-K-E joke. When you see this happening in a major. Emma Raducanu was able to come through qualifying without dropping a set to win the final, the first ever player to do this in history. And Leylah Fernandez running through all those top players and former slam champions. Naomi BLM Osaka, Angelique Kerber, Elita Svitolina, and Aryna Sabalenka. She made them all take a ride in that long black hearse.
Hating on me, it make your situation worse. You don't wanna take a ride in that long black hearse.
Trash, 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 trash. Shame on our top women players. The top players should be holding their heads down in shame. They should be embarrassed. Especially the top players inside the top 10 who haven't won any majors. These top players are garbage and unreliable. Right now in the WTA, a ranking does not mean anything. Like, you can be 150 in the world and you can win a slam. That's the current state of the WTA. And I can tell you a buck straight up. Going into the 2021 US Open, nobody, absolutely nobody had Emma Raducanu winning the US Open. Nobody. An 18-year-old qualifier. I know all those players that's been playing on tour for years who never won a major, they're peeved right now. Especially the top 10 players, Karolina Pliskova, Elina Svitolina, and Aryna Sabalenka, and the other players that have been playing on tour for years and they can't win a slam. But yet, an unestablished no-name qualifier coming through the tournament and winning the whole thing. It doesn't matter how much experience you have on tour, how many years you've been playing on tour, if you're a veteran journeyman player, 5, 10, 15 years. Now it's like, who wants it more? And the younger players, they want it more than some of the well-seasoned players that have been playing on tour for years who haven't won any majors. So that's all what this final told me. And not to take anything away from Emma, like, that was an amazing run. Like they said, an improbable run because no one wasn't expecting her to win. And to come through qualifying to the final and to win it without dropping a set, that's very, very commendable. I'll say that was a better run than Iga Swiatek's run back at the 2020 French Open. And Emma was the first British woman to win a major since the early 70s. Cause you know, Johanna Konta and Heather Watson's trash asses wasn't gonna win anything for Great Britain. So congratulations to Emma. And as for the men's final, yes, Novak Djokovic lost the final. That's what you Novak Djokovic stands get. Seeing as though he cannot live up to the hype of his GOAT status and take down a Russian dude to get a calendar career slam. You ass Novak Djokovic stands discrediting an Olympic gold medal, and look, he lost the Olympic gold medal and he lost the US Open. So happy, finally other men are getting a chance to win a major, because I'm tired of hearing about the same 3 players winning everything. At least some of the top men are winning something. It's not as lopsided as it is like on the WTA tour. You have the number 2 in the world stamping out the number 1 in the world in straight sets to win the US Open. After witnessing the atrocities from the top players on the women's tour, it's great to see other top players on the men's tour succeeding in winning their first majors without having the big 3 winning and snatching all the majors away from the other men on tour.